What's going on, guys? Jesse here. Welcome back to this series. And today I'm standing in Apex where I've got a home under construction and under contract. And you can see that we can literally see right through the walls. There are no walls up. This is what we call the pre-drywall stage of a home, right? And in today's video, what I want to talk to you about is the inspections that you should get done during the process of building a new home, why you should, what happens during those inspections, and when they happen, okay? But before we get too deep into this, I want to clarify a couple of things. First of all, you don't have to get these inspections done, but we highly recommend it. And I'm going to talk about why here in just a moment. And the other thing is that this is you hiring a third-party inspector, right? This does not happen with the builder. We will do a pre-drywall and a final walkthrough with the builder, as we talked about in our last video about meetings, right? But when I talk about inspections, I'm talking about you hiring a third-party inspector. And this is going to cost you about $400 to $450 to get both of these inspections done. But I promise you that it is well worth it. All right, so let's get into why. Why should you get an inspection done on a brand new home? Well, first of all, builders are busy. Construction managers oversee, man, in a community like this one, probably 15 to 30 homes at a time at all different stages, right? And so we want an extra set of eyes on your home, right? Your home is just one of many to a builder. And while I think a lot of construction managers do a really good job of taking care of each home and understanding what stage it's in, I think anytime you can add an extra set of eyes, especially an educated extra set of eyes, that it is only to your benefit, right? And then the second reason is because when you hire an inspector, they work for you. Remember, the construction manager and the on-site agent, they work for the builder and they have the builder's best interest in mind at all times. So let's get that extra set of eyes on this property and have that extra set of eyes working for you. Now, what happens at an inspection? Well, at any inspection, an inspector is going to be looking at three things. One, code violations. Two, any safety issues. And three, anything just not working as it should. And during the new build process, we suggest two inspections. A pre-drywall inspection, which happens when the home is at this stage, and a final inspection, which is going to happen a little bit later in the process, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But what I want to talk to you is about what happens at those inspections. And at the pre-drywall inspection, the inspector is able to see behind the walls, or essentially what will be behind the walls, right? And give their expert opinion on how things are progressing and what may need to be addressed in some form or fashion. All right, and I want to take you around here and show you quickly a couple of examples of what an inspector would be looking at when doing a pre-drywall inspection. So here's the first thing. I'm going to flip this around so that I can show you and I can see. All right, so let's see. You guys see right here, this is what's called an anchor bolt. So this is wood frame into a concrete foundation, and this anchor bolt is going through both of them. Now, what an inspector is going to be looking at is the fact that, one, anchor bolts have to be 12 inches from one another, okay? So that is at least 6 inches. But the reason you see these closer is because there has to be an anchor bolt within 6 inches of a cut, and that's a cut right there, okay? So these are the little things that inspectors are going to be looking at. Here's another thing. I'm going to actually flip my camera around so I'm in the shot as well. Right here, this is called a band. And bands have to go on 4 or more studs, okay? And so they are up to code here. They're doing their job, doing what they're supposed to be doing. But this is another example of what an inspector is going to be looking for while doing a pre-drywall inspection. Now, I want you to understand that there are plenty of other things that an inspector is looking at during this time, But those are just a couple of small examples. Now, I'm gonna get my camera set back up here and we're gonna keep talking about this. Okay, I'm back. So as you notice, these are kind of small things, right? And these may not make or break the actual construction of the home, but enough small issues can really add up. And so we want an expert's eyes on this home telling us the things that the builder should be taking care of prior to moving forward, okay? Now, at the final inspection, the inspector is gonna be looking at all three of those things that I listed. Any safety issues, any code violations, and then anything that's not working properly. And again, in a brand new home, we don't expect there to be any major issues, but with that extra set of eyes on the home, they may find something. And more recently, I had an inspector figure out that the HVAC system was not working properly, right? And so we let the builder know immediately. They had their HVAC technician come out and repair the issue, and it was completely taken care of. And my client has not had issues anytime since living in the home. So it is extremely beneficial that we find out things prior to closing on this home so that the builder can take care of them for you, right? All right, so we've talked about why you should get these inspections. We talked about what happens at these inspections, and let's talk about when these inspections happen. Well, when a home is in this stage, when we're getting a pre-drywall inspection done, that's gonna happen within the first 3 or 4 months of being under contract. And I know you may think, and it seems like a while, but you know, it could take 6 to 8 months for your home to be built, right? And so the first thing they're gonna do is dig out the footing, then they're gonna pour the foundation, and then they're gonna start putting up the framing, and then they're gonna start with some of the plumbing and electrical, right? There's quite a bit that's gotta happen before we get to this stage. And honestly, this home is probably a couple of weeks out from getting a pre-drywall inspection. So, you know, there are quite a few things that need to be done before we get there. But that will land somewhere between that 3 to 4 month mark once you go under contract. Now, the final inspection, this home is gonna be practically done, right? 98, 99% done, and it's gonna happen within the final 30 days of the home being built. Now, we're talking somewhere between the 6 to 7 month mark, most likely. And like I said, at that inspection, the inspector is gonna treat that home just like they would any other home, looking at all three of those things that I had listed earlier. And so what we do is we schedule an inspection a few days before the scheduled pre-drywall walkthrough or final walkthrough with the builder, so that we get the inspection done, we get the report back, and then we can pass that report along to the builder so that they can address any issues that came up, right? So let's recap here. We talked about why you should get an inspection done, which is that extra set of eyes, and that inspector works for you. We talked about what happens at an inspection, and I want to be clear, right? These inspections are very thorough, especially with the company that we use. And so I don't want to oversimplify what happens at these inspections. They are very thorough, and this is sort of a general idea of what you can expect. And then we talked about when those things happen. Pre-drywall is going to happen about 3 to 4 months in, and that final inspection is going to happen about 6 to 7 months in. Okay? So here's the thing, guys. We are almost finished, and actually we've got one more video, unless I decide to throw something else in there. As of now, we got one more video, and we're going to talk about how buying a brand new home is different than ever before. And I really want you to tune into that, because all the other videos that I've made are really prevalent to how buying a new construction home usually works. And honestly, everything I've spoken about is pretty much going to happen during a new construction build, right? But in my next video, I'm really going to kind of talk about the nuances of 2021 and post-pandemic real estate market and how that's affected buying a new construction home. So I really appreciate you watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next.